Okay, one last little segment here. I just wanted to talk about a few things. We're going to talk a little bit about gene expression, or I'm going to show you a little bit about gene expression. But what that means is that genes can be expressed differently based on materials that are present or something like that. So I'm going to post a video on lac operon, and that is kind of indicating a type of gene expression. It relies on, it's basically an enzyme that gets turned, or a gene that gets turned on to make an enzyme to break down lactose. But it's only working when lactose is present. So that's what I mean by that. Check that out in the book too, just for a little more information. Also, there is a video already posted here on Hox genes. Watch that a little bit. What Hox genes are control genes. So in this case, it's a control gene that then turns on other genes that turn on other genes that turn on other genes, and they do it in a cascade or in an order. And that order is what causes body development in a developing embryo, for example. So for example, parts will get turned on that will make the top part of the arm, and then the next part, and then the next part, and then the next part, and the next part. And it builds the body form based on that order and that gene cascade. So in humans and all upper level chordates, we have 4 sets of 8 control genes. If you were to mutate a control gene, that is a way that you could change huge amounts of body form, in other words, whole structures, for example, by just messing with one gene. Messing with meaning like some kind of mutation or something like that. So this is an important evolutionary process, and check them out. Check out the video that I have posted. All right, another thing is cloning. I just wanted to make sure you guys all knew about cloning. Most people do. Cloning, of course, is taking, a piece of an organism. In the case of some organisms, you can just take a couple of cells and grow out a whole new cell. Plants do that. They're called totipotent. That means that you could take a cell and grow a whole new plant out of it, which is the whole idea behind tissue culture and so forth. In animals, though, it's a little harder. So what they have done is they actually take eggs or ovum from a female, and they take out the nucleus of that female's ovum, and they replace it with the nucleus or with the DNA material of the organism that they're trying to clone. And then they put an electrode into the cell and start it up again, and that will make an embryo or start making an embryo. So anyway, that is one way to do the cloning. So there's other ways, I'm sure. There's been problems, of course, with animal cloning in the sense that the animal that they took the nucleus out of is actually, let's say like in Dolly the sheep, she was like 6 years old or something, and her offspring was born older, she didn't live as long because she had older parts, and that's probably mitochondrial DNA or something like that. By the way, mitochondrial DNA is the DNA that is the same for every cell, right? Because in the cytoplasm, remember the cytoplasm is just getting pinched in half. So the mitochondria from the mother cell is the same as the daughter cells, and that is true even in meiosis. So that the mitochondrial DNA is passed down through the mother line all the way through from the beginning of time. Which is how they can do DNA testing and tell where you came from originally, which is kind of cool. All right, and another thing to talk about is viruses. And of course, that's very appropriate for today because viruses are a little piece of DNA or RNA. They go into your cell and they say, make more of me. So they incorporate themselves in your DNA, or perhaps in this protein synthesis process, and make the things that they need to do to make more of them throughout your body. Usually it takes about 10 days to travel throughout your body and to go to all your cells and do it with all your cells, and then it's kind of done with you as the host, and it will go off to another host. And a lot of times at the very beginning, you can shed that virus, somebody else can get it, which is, what's happening now with COVID. So with COVID, though, in this case, it's a virus that has come from another organism. They think perhaps bats, but it's another organism. And that means that our bodies have no immunity to it at all, which is why we're having such a hard time with this virus, and why there's not a lot of defense or defenses, drugs, etc., that are helping with this, and why people are dying. So anyway, that's kind of about viruses. The other thing, of course, is stem cells. So just a little talk about stem cells. Stem cells are cells that haven't differentiated yet. So what that means is that you have a cell that is created, usually, if you're talking about a developing embryo, all the cells that are starting off from that one zygote is going to, through mitosis, develop into like a ball of cells. Those are all stem cells. They have not become the particular organs, limbs, etc., that they're going to be. It kind of depends on where the cell is as to what it becomes. So as those cells divide and they become, it becomes bigger than a ball of cells, but like a whole group of cells. Those cells are basically either on the outside, on the inside. They're part of different tissues based on where they are. And there's over 200 different kinds of cells. So that they all start off as a stem cell, and they would differentiate into the actual cell that they become. How do they do that? It depends on which genes are turned on and which genes are not. We all have the same DNA in all of our cells, but some cells don't have, for example, my brain cells do not have digestive enzyme genes turned on, which is a good thing because I could digest my brain, right? And likewise, my digestive tract does not have the enzymes for brain function turned on because it's not needed. So the different cells are doing different things throughout the body, but stem cells are cells that can be turned into anything, which is why this has become such a hotbed of research, because I could take an animal cell then, and I could grow out a whole new organism or whole new me if I wanted to, and then I could have organs and so forth to harvest. Or I could grow out like organs, which is what a lot of people are working on, is how do I grow out a particular part of me from my stem cells, which are, as an adult, come from my bone marrow. So this is, the reason why people are very interested in stem cell research, because it has a lot of potential in helping out with huge medical problems.